guys. Let's move on in chapter 1 with lesson 1.3. We're going to be talking about comparing and ordering our numbers. So we've already talked about place value, and we've talked about the 3 different ways that we can write our numbers. So now we're going to look at comparing and ordering those numbers. Okay, it says the Grand Canyon National Park in Arizona had 651,028 visitors in July of 2008 and 665,188 visitors in July of 2009. In which year did the park have more visitors during the month of July? Okay, so first we've got to look at these 2 questions up here. They want to know how many visitors were there in July of 2008. So in order to find that, we've got to make sure that we look back in our problem. So I'm going to look, and it says that in the National Park in Arizona had 651,028 visitors in July of 2008. So I'm going to write that number right there, 651,028 visitors. And then they also want us to look at how many visitors were there in July of 2009. So again, I'm going to go back into my problem and keep reading until I find that information. So it says, so in July of 2008 and 665,188 visitors in July of 2009. So now I'm going to write that information down. So it says 665,188 visitors. So there's those two. Those are the 2 important numbers that we're going to use to solve this problem. It says that we can use a place value chart to line up the digits by place value. Line up the ones with the ones, the tens with the tens, and so on and so forth to compare the 651,028 to the 665,188. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use this place value chart, which should look familiar from lesson 1 where we use that place value chart to figure out the value of all those digits. And I'm going to write both numbers into that chart. Okay, there we go. So we're going to have to I'm going to label these so I know which one's which. For 2008, I'm going to put that one up top here. So I'm going to say this is my year for 2008. And I've got 651,028 is how many we had for July of 2008. And then for July of 2009, I'm going to go ahead and change that color so it's easier to differentiate between the 2. I'm going to write 2009 right here for this bottom one. And for 2009, the park had 665,188 visitors. Okay, so now that we've got our information where we need it so we can look at it and see it easily, I'm going to go with my steps. So the step 1 is we're going to compare the hundred thousands. So when we are comparing 2 numbers, you're always going to want to start with the place value that is farthest to your left. So the farthest this way. We're not going to want to start with our ones place. We always want to start with the greatest place value of both numbers. So I'm going to look right here, and I've got a 6 in both of my hundred thousands places. So if I have 600 thousands in 2008 and 600 thousands in my 2009, how would we compare those? Would those be greater than, less than, or equal to? If I'm looking right here, right, those 6's are the same number in that place value chart. So those would be equal. So that's not going to help us figure out which number is bigger than the other. So now we're going to have to move on to the next place value to see if we can use that digit to get our comparison for the 2. So now we're looking at these. So we've got a 5 in the 10,000s place for 2008, and we've got a 6 in the 10,000s place for 2009. Well, which one of those is larger? 5 10,000s or 6 10,000s? Exactly. 6 10,000s is greater than 5 10,000s. So I'm going to go ahead and put my symbol here to show that comparison. So when we read this, it would read 5 10,000s is less than 6 10,000s. Remember, we use those alligator mouths, those greater than or less symbols, greater than or less than symbols, I'm so sorry, are what we would used to refer to as alligator mouths when we were a little bit younger. But in 4th grade, we call them greater than or less than symbols. So if it is opening up this way, it's a less than symbol. If it's opening up this way to the left, it is a greater than symbol. And then what if it looks like this? What is that? Right, that would be an equal to sign, which if those numbers are the same, we know that they would be equal to each other. Very good. So now that we know that this place value here is the greater place value, that makes this whole number the greater number. So that means that, see, sometimes our technology likes to be silly, and that's okay. We just go with it. So that way we know, I'm going to write this a little bit bigger, that since 651,028 is less than, remember, if that opening is opening up to the right, that means it's a less than, is less than 665,188. That means that there were more visitors in 2009 than there were in 2008. Okay? Let's look at some more examples. So another way that you can find and compare numbers is you can look on a number line. This will look familiar, right? Number lines where we've got the least number here and then it counts up to the greater numbers from left to right, just like when you read a book. So we can locate all of these numbers on a number line to see which one's the greatest and which one's the least. So they've given us these 3 numbers. I'm going to write them a little bit larger so that you can see them. We've got 10,408, 10,433, and 10,416. And what they want us to do is they want us to place those on the number line so that we can put them in order from least to greatest. Okay, so they've already placed 10,408 right here on our number line. This is 10,408. So I'm going to go ahead and check that one off our list because they've already done that for us. So now I'm going to move down in my list and I've got 10,433. So I'm going to look here at how my number line is labeled and it's going up by tens. So I'm going to go 100 and see we've got 10,410, 10,420, and 10,430. So I know that I'm getting pretty close here. So I'm going to use these even smaller tick marks to find 10,433. So 10,430, 10,431, 10,432, and right here I've got 10,433. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and check that off my list because I put that one on the number line. And now I've got one left, 10,416. So again, I'm going to remember that my number line is counting by tens, and I'm going to find where this one would go. So I've got 10,400, 10,410. Oh, I'm getting close, so I'm going to go ahead and start counting those tick marks one at a time. 10,411, 10,412, 10,413, 10,414, 10,415, and there we go, right there. 10,416. Okay? So, now that I've done that work and I've gotten all of my numbers placed on a number line, now I'm going to put them in order from the least to the greatest, or the smallest to the biggest. So, which one of these numbers is the farthest to the left? Right. 10,408 is going to be my least number. So then, when I'm coming down the line, what comes next? Good. 10,416. And then, which of those 3 numbers is my greatest? I'm going to keep coming down that number line, and I've found it. 10,433. Very good. Okay, but now I've got to put those greater than or less than symbols in there. So this is how you can do that even with more than 2 numbers. You can do it with 3 numbers, 4 numbers, 5 numbers. As long as you've got them in order, you can use an inequality symbol. Okay, so 10,408 compared to 10,416. Is 10,408 less than or greater than 10,416? Right, it's less than. So we're going to put that less than symbol in there. Remember, less than symbols open up to the right. Very good. So now I've got to figure out which symbol can go in between these two. So 10,416 compared to 10,433. Which one is greater? Right, 10,433 is that greater number. So again, I'm going to use another less than symbol. Just like that. And when we read this all together, it would say 10,408 is less than 10,416, which is less than 10,433. Okay? Good job, guys. Let's look at a few more examples before I set you free to do your own practice. Alrighty. Okay, we've got another number line practice here. They want us to compare 15,327 to 15,341. So I'm going to locate those on the number line. Here's 15,320. Halfway would be 25, and then 26, 27. So there is 15,327. So now we've got to find 15,341. So I'm going to keep moving down my number line. Here's 15,340, which means one more is going to get me to 15,341. Great job. So now we've got to look at those two. Which one is the smaller number? Which one is closer to this left side? Right, 15,327 is closer to the left end of my number line, so that means that's our smaller number. So compared to each other, 15,320 is less than or greater than 15,341? Good, it's less than. Great job. So my less than symbol would go in there just like that. Great job. Okay, so for these ones down here for 2 through 7, they didn't give us a number line to compare, so we're going to have to stack them on top of each other to compare them. I'm going to make my screen just a little bit bigger so we can see some of those numbers a little more clearly. Okay, great. Here we go. Okay, number 2. We've got $631,328 compared to $640,009. So now, this is what Miss Stevenson does. This is how I do this in class, and I think it's a really good way to do it at home too. You can take those numbers and you can write them on top of each other. So I'm going to take this $640,009 and I'm going to line those place values up exactly with this number. And then I'm going to use what we did in that first example, and I'm going to go place value by place value to compare those numbers. So remember, when we're comparing place value and we're comparing numbers, we always start with the greatest place value and start there. So I've got my 100,000s. In my 100,000s place, I've got 6 in both 100,000s place. So can I use those to compare, or are those equal? Right, those are equal. So I can't really use those. Those aren't going to help me. So I'm going to have to move on to my next place value. So now I'm going to move on to my 10,000s place. I've got a 3 in this 10,000s place and a 4 in this 10,000s place. Which one of those is greater? Right, the 4 is greater. So $640,009 is going to be my greater number. So now I've got to figure out which inequality symbol will go here. So 631,328 is less than, greater than, or equal to 640,009. Right, it's less than. So my less than symbol that, remember, opens up to the right is going to go in our answer circle here. Great job. All right, let's look here at number 3. We've got 56,991 compared to 52,880. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take that number and I'm going to write it underneath this one, lined up exactly. Uh-oh. Got to get the right number, right? that might make a difference with our problem. All right. So 52,880. Okay, so now let's look at these. Starting with our highest place value, which with these numbers is the 10,000s place. I've got 5 in both 10,000s place. Is that going to help me compare these, or are those the same? Right, they're the same. So that's not going to help us very much. So I'm going to go ahead and cross those out, and I'm going to move on to my next place value, which is the thousands place. So in my thousands place, for this top number, I've got a 6, and for this bottom number, I've got a 2. So which one of those has the greater value, the 6 or the 2? Right, the 6 has the greater value, which means this top number is going to be our greater number. So now we've got to figure out which inequality is going to go in there. 56,991 is greater than, less than, or equal to 52,880. Right, it's greater than. And that greater than symbol opens up to the left. Very good. All right. 708,561 compared to 629,672. Same thing. Write those numbers on top of each other and make sure those place values are lined up exactly. Because if they're not lined up exactly, what's going to happen is we are going to end up comparing the wrong place values to each other. You see how my 2 looks like a Z? This pen is very silly and will write crazy things on this board. So just pretend that that Z is a 2. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and compare these. Highest place value, remember, is always where you start. In this case, it's our 100,000s. I've got a 7 in the 100,000s here and a 6 in the 100,000s there. Which one's the greater digit? Right, the 7. So that means that this whole number, 708,561, is going to be the greater number. So now we've got to place our inequality symbol in here. Is it going to be greater than, less than, or equal to? Exactly, that's going to be a greater than symbol. So it will read 708,561 is greater than 629,672. Great job. Let's do one more for good practice. All right, this one is 143,062 compared to 98,643. Ooh, this one's kind of tricky because if you notice already, these don't have the same number of digits as the other. One has 6 and one has 5. So this is a great example of when we're going to have to make sure that we line those numbers up exactly to make sure we're comparing the right place values to each other. So I'm going to make sure that I get those all lined up. So the 3 goes with the 1s, the 4 with the 10s, the 6 with the 100s, the 8 with the 1000s, and the 9 with the 10,000s. And notice I don't have a digit that goes here, but that's okay. You've lined those up correctly, so we'll be able to compare them correctly, even with that missing digit there. So what we're going to do is we're going to look here. And I've got to compare those 100,000s. And you're probably like, well, Miss Stevenson, there's not a 100,000s place, so do I go to the next thousands place? No, you don't. You can compare them with nothing there, because you can pretend that that is a 0 right there. And when you're comparing 1 to 0 or to nothing, which is the greater number? Right, that 1 is, which means that this whole number up here is going to be greater than this number over here to the right. So let's see which inequality symbol we can put in there. 143,062, will it be greater than, less than, or equal to 98,643? Exactly, it's going to be greater than. Good job. Alrighty, I think you have got it. I'm going to set you free to go do your practice on your Schoology. Do your best.